Tough game. tough, tough way to go. The penalties were a major issue for the
Yeah.
Cats. 11 for 95, most penalized team in the GLIAC up to this point. How do you kind of address that?
No, we have too many offsides, and if you start with that, you can be in a lot better spot than what you're sitting at right now. So we'll just have to go to beginning stage football and try to hard count them all day long, which we don't usually waste a whole lot of time on just because it slows the scout team down. You don't get as many plays and you don't get as many reps, and the scout team jumps off sides. But we'll have to do it. It's basically two players that are giving us that situation, so we got to get it fixed. So we've been trying to fix it every other way, so it's going to have to just go to that point right now to get it fixed. And that's where you start. We had some hard talks on Sunday because, there's a number of situations in there. If you don't do what you did, you might have a better chance to win. And so that's just the truth of it. So we didn't do that, so we got what we got.
Talk about the build-up of this one. Going into it, kind of felt like it could be a really program-defining moment. You go win 3 games in a row for the first time, and I don't even know how long. You make your mark on the conference, and after a game like that, after a finish like that, are you almost relieved to have your rival right afterwards, after a big emotional defeat like that, to get the guys right back into it?
Yeah, because this game is a season maker for you if you do the right thing and go out and win it. And so that's our opportunity, and that's what we work for this week, and that's what we focus on, and we use that as motivation.
So one of the things that stood out to me from Saturday's game was the secondary. We talked, they've been playing really well coming to the games, and they held Whitaker, especially relative to what he had been doing to some of the other teams in the conference, mostly in check, under 50% completion, 2 picks. How do you feel the pass defense held up against Davenport?
I thought we played well. I knew Barnett would be a problem. He'd been laying a little bit low, I think, for his ability this season so far, and we got his best. I mean, he looked like, this past game, he looked like he did when he was at Ferris. And I've always said when he was a freshman at Ferris that he was one of the top 5 players in the league back then. And he's been banged up and nicked up, and he's had to reinvent himself a little bit. But we had great coverage on him on that third down on the last drive. It was just a great throw and a really great catch. I mean, that kid threw the ball inside before he even come out of his break on that shave route. Antonio was inside him, and we had a safety over the top of him on the outside, and he got fit in there. Even the first touchdown was the same thing. We had him bracketed, and we were right where you wanted to be in coverage. And usually at that point, going into the end zone, you look for hands so you can break them down. He didn't put his hands on the ball until right when the ball was there, and it was a deep throw and well defended. But I learned from a really good coach in the Big Ten. You can do things perfect as a player and still lose the play, and that's just life. And so it's tough luck. You can do things right and still give up a ball. Coverage was good where you wanted to be, and they still have a good catch and a good throw. That's life. So you got to deal with it and move on. I thought the coverage was pretty good on a lot of those plays, but you're going against good players. You're going against an accoladed player as a young player and the best team in the country. For his first part of his career, and the quarterback was a very gifted quarterback coming out of Rockford and scholarship player at Northwestern. So you're an accoladed player and a Big Ten player. So that's what you're trying to muscle up to. So, but that third down, I wouldn't have changed the call. Do you think of pressuring them? Yeah, but they're really good at the pressure pickup. They're very good at it. And now you're playing a little thin on the routes. It's just the way it goes. So I think I wouldn't have changed the call.
So a gutty performance by Drake, stepping in at the end of the third quarter, kind of getting the Cats' offense back in the game. They're certainly not making the quarterback situation easy for you guys. How do you handle that going into a big rivalry game this week?
I talked to the coaches, the offensive coaches Sunday morning. I don't worry about it one bit. And I told the offensive coaches, I've been doing this a long time. And the quarterbacks always get treated a little different than the rest of the football team, the way they're handled and managed, more so just technically and by the position coaches, because it's a one position, room. And it's such a critical position, and so everything has got to be really Fortune 500 CEO style. Okay, and I said to my guys, I said, that's your first problem. Coach them like a linebacker. Coach them like I want them dealt with. So when I talked to Drake and I talked to Zach, I said, Zach, this is not your fault. The offense is just anemic, and we need a kick charge. We need a kickstart. Zach, none of it was due to him, our lackluster performance on offense. He was playing, football without making mistakes. It was just the rest of the picture. So I said, put Drake in, because we needed it. I knew I couldn't hold them off, a lot longer from scoring, because they're pretty good. So you get to that point, so we don't do something different, and the landscape doesn't change the way this game is going right now, we're not going to be in it. So I told Shuey, I said, put him in. But coach, it's not Zach's fault. Oh, so I know that. Put Drake in. Just because. Now, coach him like a linebacker. That's okay. When I deal with Zach or Drake, I don't have all that technical time with them. But when I talk to them, I treat them just like Borchard or Peak. And they like that, because that's who we are here anyway. Okay? This is not a Fortune 500 gig where we play football. This is to be good here, blue collar, tough, rough, effort, grit. That's what wins at Northern. Now, I can't speak for the other teams, but that's our team.
So, talk a little bit about the Michigan Tech Huskies this week. How do you like how the Cats match up with them?
I always like it. But like I said to the people, the media Saturday, I don't really think talking about this game does anything. To me, it's a waste of time, because you got to play it. And I'm more of a let's go play it. But I give them a lot of credit. Their team fits the kind of students that they get there. You look at them, especially on offense, their unit. They're very synchronized. They're very efficient. They're all about execution, and each piece is finely tuned. They do a very nice job. And it all runs off of will. You can say what you want. Do they have some other nice players? Absolutely. But it all runs off of will. And Morano's been there for a while out of Edsel Ford. He does a nice job for him. So, between those two and Darius Willis and Luke Terrian, those guys are kind of their feature guys. And they've got some other wideouts that are, starting to show up, that have developed and pushed themselves into playing roles. Ethan Champney is a guy that is starting to show up out there. Ethan Marish is a guy that's starting to show up out there from Marquette. And I like the Brandon Michalak kid from Macomb, Dakota. Those kids are starting to show up and play. So, but it all goes around Willard, okay? And so you got to get ready for their packages and what they want to do schematically. And you can't make mistakes, because they magnify it for you. So the stuff that we did Saturday to hurt us, it'll get magnified more if we stay on that road, which we got to get out of that road, which we can do.